Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something we all do. We trust numbers. But what happens when that trust is misplaced? We're exploring how our faith in calculations can lead us astray, and how understanding their limits can, and this is no exaggeration, literally save us from disaster.
All right, let's just dive right in with a pretty dramatic story. It all starts with this incredible, state-of-the-art skyscraper in New York City, and one very unexpected phone call. And trust me, this isn't just an engineering story. It's a huge lesson about the dangerous assumptions hiding inside our numbers.
So this is the story of the Citicorp Center. It was a true architectural marvel back in the day, famous for standing on these massive stilts. But what nobody knew was that it had a hidden, almost fatal secret baked right into its design. Okay, so try to put yourself in his shoes. You're William Lemessier, the chief engineer of this masterpiece, and you get a call from some college kid working on a thesis project. He asks a simple question about your design, and that one question makes you go back and check the math, only to discover a terrifying flaw, something your whole world-class team completely missed. And here is where it all went wrong. See, the original calculations, they were perfect for the question they were asked. They tested for winds hitting the building head-on on its flat sides, but they never thought to test for quartering winds hitting the corners at a 45-degree angle. On this unique design, that specific angle put a terrifying amount of stress on the building's joints. So the numbers weren't lying, they were just answering the wrong question. Now, a flaw in one building is scary enough, right? But what happens when that exact same kind of miscalculation, that same blind spot, infects an entire global system? Well, the consequences can be absolutely catastrophic. You see, this wasn't just a simple mistake in a blueprint. It was a fundamental flaw in thinking. And that same blind spot, trusting a model without ever questioning its core assumptions, was about to play out on the world stage and bring the global economy to its knees in 2008. So just like with the skyscraper, the financial world built these incredibly complex models. They took thousands of home loans all bundled together into these things called mortgage-backed securities. The math seemed to prove that because the risk was so spread out, these products were super safe. I mean, many of them got AAA ratings, the best you can get. But all that math was hiding one fatal assumption. And this chart, well, this shows the devastating result. The entire model was built on one simple, unspoken belief: that housing prices would always go up. The second they started to fall, the whole system just collapsed. All that risk that was supposed to be diversified away came roaring back, and defaults, as you can see, went through the roof. So you have to ask yourself, why do our models, our forecasts, fail so spectacularly? The engineers at Citicorp, the analysts on Wall Street, these weren't dumb people. No, they were up against a problem that we call deep uncertainty. And this right here is the heart of the problem. Deep uncertainty means some things aren't just hard to predict, they're fundamentally unknowable. We're not talking about trying to guess the weather next week. We're talking about trying to predict the invention of the internet. We're dealing with factors and events that we can't even conceive of today. A perfect example? The Channel Tunnel. Just look at these forecasts. They weren't just a little off, they were wildly, catastrophically wrong. And why? Because all the models were based on the world as it was. They had no way of predicting the deep uncertainty of a future with a boom in low-cost airlines or fierce price wars from the ferry companies. The numbers were precise, sure, but the world they were describing just never happened. So if we can't perfectly predict the future, what are we supposed to do? What's the alternative to just relying on these flawed forecasts? Well, the answer is to change our goal, from finding the single best solution to finding one that's good enough. Think about it like this. Instead of optimizing for just one expected outcome, say the absolute lowest cost or the fastest possible speed, we can aim for robustness. A robust solution, well, it might not be the absolute cheapest or the fastest in any single scenario, but it's designed so it won't totally fail across a wide range of possible futures. It's about building for resilience, not just pure efficiency. And you know, this isn't just some theoretical exercise. This is a real choice that people and communities have to make all the time. In fact, a community facing flood risk in New Zealand had to make exactly this choice. So, the standard cost-benefit analysis, the spreadsheet with all the numbers, it pointed to the cheaper plan. But the community, they chose the more expensive, more robust option. And why would they do that? They chose certainty. They were willing to pay a premium to be protected not just against today's predictions, but against a whole bunch of unknown future possibilities. They understood that the so-called optimal plan is worthless if it fails when you need it most.
Okay, so how can we actually use this in our own lives, in our own decisions? Well, engineers have a really simple but powerful concept for building in this kind of robustness. It's called the factor of safety. And really, it's just the margin for error that we deliberately build into our plans. It's an admission, right up front, that our calculations aren't perfect and the future is uncertain. It's the buffer that protects us against all the things we don't or can't know.
The math is really simple, but the idea behind it is profound. And it's exactly what saved the Citicorp Center. When Lemaitre discovered that terrifying flaw, he didn't just fix it to the original standard. No, he implemented a massive factor of safety. His team raced against a looming hurricane, secretly working all night, welding huge steel plates over every single vulnerable joint. They made that building strong enough to survive a storm that was way beyond what the original, flawed numbers ever called for. So the big takeaway here isn't to stop using numbers. Of course not. It's about being smarter about how we use them. Use them like a flashlight to explore lots of different possibilities, not like a crystal ball to predict one single future. Because the most important questions, they're not on the spreadsheet. They are, what assumptions am I making? What did this calculation completely miss? And maybe most importantly of all, what's my margin of safety if I'm wrong?